Hi, I'm Ade McCormack here at HP Discover. With me now is Chris Moyer, Global Lead on Mobility and Workplace for Enterprise Services. Chris, what does wearables mean for HP?
I think wearables means the same thing to us, and it means to lots of other companies, right? We want to take that idea of putting information, both gathering and display, into environments where it's on me. It's not just the device I might happen to have in my pocket or in my hand. And so for me, wearables has kind of got two different functions. Some are very specialized. We got a lot of heart rate monitors, but as we start to look at what's the enterprise going to use wearables for, those might be interesting for tracking, but we really see the wearable market starting to become an extension of the accessory of that primary device, whether that's visual displays, whether it may be a more immersive environment. So I think wearables are going to take a lot of different formats on for us and our customers in the future.
You mentioned the enterprise. I always think of wearables as a kind of consumer experience. What place do you think they have in the enterprise?
I think the consumer area is going to lead, just like it has in the tablet arena. I think wearables start out as a consumer device, a lot of innovation, a lot of investment, because you can sell to a bigger audience. What we really want, though, is the enterprise to start to look at those and as they mature and say, where do I use those? So we're doing some work right now on context-aware situations, where you start to bring context into the equation. We've actually done some development, some early adopters using Google Glass, just as one format, to say, how can I take advantage of a hands-free environment? So I think enterprises are going to look for these devices to continue to digitize complex business processes and give them to people that probably in the past couldn't take the time or look away from what they're doing to use a manual hand interface where voice is going to become dominant. I think it'll also start to show up in environments that are maybe a little more risky. And they can't have one of these devices that if it drops, it's broken, but they might be able to shoulder or harness or strap something to their belt and then have a display element that follows them around. So I think the enterprise is going to be pretty interesting, and I think the accessory space, which we could just call an extended wearable, is also going to change the game.
A new term I've heard of late, crowd shaping. Does HP have a view on that?
I think if you think of crowd shaping or the developer shaping, anybody who puts out a developer kit for a platform or an environment or a set of technology and allows anyone to contribute to the net new innovation around it, it's going to get shaped by the crowd. So I think that's what will happen. It also, if you're watching the consumer world, it really does change what people buy because they look at those ratings. If somebody else liked this, maybe I'll like it, and I'm going to go try it. I think we'll see some of that also happen in the enterprise, is the kind of content of automatic feedback from your peers that are using something will start to shape how we behave. So I think both developer and consumption of those things will be changed by the crowd. I still think that the enterprise probably has enough investment to go make some of this stuff work, and the early movers will get some advantage.
It's all very well talking about nice, shiny, wearable technology. Or what are the issues in terms of integrating it into the existing technology infrastructure for enterprises?
I think the challenges for integrating wearables are probably more around the form factor and how you manage it when it's out in the field. It's also, if it's got a persistent data store and that data is valuable, now it's got to be managed a lot different than if it's just a display element or an extension or an accessory where the data still stays in an environment that's already managed. So I think that's where the enterprise interest of, if it's got high value data in a persistent way, when it's disconnected from its primary compute or storage device, then I got to manage it. So that's where the line I think will get drawn. I think there's some great products out there that won't be managed. They'll do a specific function. They won't carry a lot of persistent data. They'll just really be a collector or a displayer, and those will need a lot less management. But what the enterprise will want is they'll actually want somebody to support that environment. So I don't think that goes away at all. That's not an integration challenge as much as that is about making users productive with whatever we give them. And that's something that we'll have to step up to from our user support model, and we have already with mobility. So it's just the next logical extension in my mind.
These devices, they're throwing off a lot of data, but you think much of it won't be captured, there won't be a data storage issue?
I think it will be captured, but I think it'll be captured on a primary device that can be managed. They may have some persistent storage, but it'll be intended to push out somewhere else. I think that the wearable environment that we've seen so far, it's a new place. God knows it could change a lot, right? But I think right now we're seeing it's driving data volumes, but those data volumes are either on a mobile device, on a laptop device, they're being pushed to someplace else where the platform already has storage capabilities. What we are seeing is some challenges around battery life on certain things, right? We need to be able to work more of a day without having to get to a charger and be stuck to the wall. And I think that will also mean some of that storage, so I can work all day and then synchronize at the right point, will also play in. So I'm not saying storage isn't an issue. It'll always be something we want to see get better, but I think that combination of storage and battery probably more important to us.
So what's on the horizon in respect of enterprise wearables?
I think that right now what I'm seeing is the users that are adapting to it are the people that have complex jobs where they need both hands free, and maybe those environments aren't as hospitable as you and I might work in every day, but those folks need to have a lot more information at their disposal and maybe the ability to reach back with a video feed, an audio feed to a different set of expertise. I see a lot of application of that. All of us think of these, repair guys that go out into complex environments and are supposed to know everything. Well, that's harder and harder to do as the complexity goes up and as that workforce gets more mobile. We'll need to give those guys some very, very useful wearable technology. I also think we'll start to use it to augment our own experiences, right? We'll use it as additional memory. We'll use it as extra, kind of a secondary feed of what I'm working on. And then I think ultimately for highly collaborative environments, will we go to wearing visors or will we want big walls? I think there's still a debate going on, but I think when you start to turn that highly collaborative, lots of content interaction into you and I at a long distance, there's a place there that wearables may still show up and make a big difference.
Are you in any way looking at how wearables are turning into embeddables?
I think it's a great place, and I think it's the science that we all watch, probably with a little bit of intrepidation because we go, is it going to take over what my functions are? But I think when I see some of the fantastic augmentation that's done around mobility, i.e. making someone be able to move or be ambulatory again, fantastic technology there. And I think that's a place for embedded. I think for diagnostics, if I can get more insight by swallowing something versus being cut open, I'll sign up, right? And I don't know if you think of that as embedded. It's embedded temporarily, at least, and I think that's a huge plus. And then if we could get to the point where, maybe maybe it doesn't start with humans, maybe it'll start with pets, but I could put a chip on my cat and know where it is when it's out. That might be a valuable piece of insight for me to have. I don't think my cat will mind, but I think we have to kind of try and test these things out. We're going to get used to a lot more information about us, about our environment, and I think embedded's a natural extension. There may be a few privacy and augmentation and even, I guess, legal issues that could pop up, but I don't think they're going to stop the investment level. We're all getting older. We all want to have a happier, healthier life as we get older. I think there'll be a lot of push to take embedded technology into us and make our life easier.
So are you saying in the workplace of the future we shouldn't concern ourselves about the rise of the robots because we will be the robots?
I think we could be part robot, you never know, could help us. We do it today. Yeah, you and I both wear glasses. That's an augmentation of our ability to see. I think you just got to logically sense what could happen and where's that nice limit of we're comfortable with it. I don't think that I want to turn into a robot. I don't think I'm ready to give up my logic and my intelligence. There wouldn't be that much to give up maybe, but I think it's really interesting to see that there will be a lot of debates, but I think that healthcare, us having a better quality of life will dominate that dialogue. So I think in the enterprise, what we'll see is workers that have taken advantage of embedded technology so that they can come in and be more productive longer.
Great. Well, thank you, Chris.
You're welcome. Been great talking to you.